What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Hour podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Evan Abrams, and I am joined by Brandon Anderson for our NFL recap show. We will discuss everything we saw today and a little bit earlier this week as well. Plus, we will look ahead briefly to Monday night's game and get Brandon's hot read for next week. But before we get started, as always, I will give you a stat or two off the top here based off of what we have just seen, and Brandon will have a little bit of something to say about it. But I'll start with 1 p.m. Sunday chaos. So this one was in my primer and continued today. So since week 9, favorites are now 9, 27, and 1 against the spread in the early Sunday window. In the first 8 weeks, they went 39 and 20. So an absolute utter shift in the last, 4 or 5 weeks since week 9. The kicker is in that 1 p.m. Eastern window, 60% of tickets, which have struggled all year, 15 and 47 against the spread, 4 and 21 ATS since week 9. So those things with favorites kind of bounce together. It's been a wild early window so far this year with that start and that finish. And then I'll end with this. I tweeted this out, but games with 10 plus mile an hour winds, which we had a few today, 28 and 1 to the under this year, 125 and 70, 64% since 2022. And of course, we had that San Francisco Cleveland game, just barely under, but 25 plus mile an hour winds, now 15 and 3 to the under in our system. It looks like 10 plus. Green Bay, Cleveland, and Buffalo are early calls for next week, but obviously long way to go there. And then Brandon, how about this one? This one's always fun. So entering Monday Night Football, home teams, road teams, exactly even this year, 93, 93, and 1 with Washington's cover tonight. You can take your pick, a lot of stuff. I guess a kind of boring Sunday slate that turned into a ref show on Sunday Night Football. But what do you take away?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of games where it's like we kind of knew where this is going, or even it's just like two teams that don't really matter. But then, of course, on those Sundays, those are the games that end up going to overtime, going down the stretch, hitting the witching hour. It's just kind of, this is one of those Sundays. So yeah, good day to be on unders for sure. I'm sure lots of folks watching and listening right now were hit by the same sort of weather that we saw all throughout the day here in all the games. So windy unders, definitely a thing. A lot of unders for next week. I'll even hit you off the top with a preview. Fast forward all the way to the end of the show. We're going back to the unders for next week ourselves in the hot read with a couple. Actually, 3 hot reads tonight, all unders. So you can get those coming soon. And yeah, the regression was always going to come for those favorites. You know, it's not a real trend when you get like 7-8 weeks of data and you're like, oh, the favorites at noon. That's what happens now. Like nobody thought that. So nobody thinks that it's flipped the other way now. It's just regression doing weird stuff with the numbers, and this is what we're seeing, and it's kind of going back out the other way now.
Yeah, 9 and 27, just a wild switch. But let's get into Sunday. Let's get into Sunday Night Football here. What we thought was going to be a pretty goddamn boring game turned out to be kind of interesting, I guess. But Denver wins the game 27-26. They closed -6, so Washington gets the cover. And it was looking under. It really was an under until it wasn't. And that's kind of how it goes. But 43.5 was the total. What does it finish with? 53 points, it looks like. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, my story the entire time I ever watch a Denver Broncos game is kind of the same exact story, which is their defense plays well, which it kind of didn't tonight. I mean, allowed some big plays from Washington, especially in overtime, but I think at that point they're exhausted. And the Bo Nix play, I mean, ton of passing yards, played pretty well tonight. I think he led the entire slate in passing yards, which took over Brissett's bet that we actually had on action today, which sucked. I think it happened right before overtime, so maybe not so bad. But either way, Denver feels like it plays the exact same game over and over again. I'll give you the point margins of their last few games, which kind of tells the entire story of how they play overall, which is 1-3-3-3, 20. Yep, that's Dallas. 1, 2, 4. Oh, 25. No, that's Cincinnati. 3, 1, and 8. So this is just kind of the way Denver plays. I just tweeted it out, but Bo Nix, 15-1 straight up as a favorite, 15-0-1 in a 7-point tease in those games, but now just 10-6 against the spread. 2-6 ATS as a favorite this year. So this has just been the recipe for Denver. And I think the question becomes, can this continue rest of season and playoffs? One more stat before I give it to Brandon here. And I think it didn't happen tonight, but Denver, 5-1 straight up this year when losing the turnover battle. 2-0 when losing it by 2+. Like, this can't be your king. It's not my king. But what do you think about this matchup? What's your deal with Bo Nix and Denver?
Yeah, just what we all wanted from Sunday night. 95 passes from Bo Nix and Marcus Mariota, with Evan Ingram and Zach Ertz leading the both teams in receptions. Like, this is not the game we asked for. I guess this is the game we needed on Sunday night to wrap up this riveting day of football. Shouts to the luck rankings. Washington, clearly the right side all the way. I think Nick Giffen had this like 11th all time among like 2,000 games or some huge number as a luck side. And then it looked like it was going to lose it in overtime. Deserved to hit, even though Washington obviously does not get the win. Sure felt like an under to me. This was the hot read. We were on a streak. We're going to go 2-0, 3 straight weeks on the hot read. 6-0, 3 minutes till halftime. We're under 43.5. We're feeling good. 37 points heading toward the end of the game. Denver's vaunted defense get one freaking stop. Can't do it. We go to overtime. Look, we could have still got out of there with an under in overtime, a tie 0-0, or even 3-0 in overtime, like a regular NFL overtime. We probably get it. Instead, touchdown. That's it. Oh, look, Mariota had that scramble with like 12 seconds left in regulation. Barely gets out of bounds. That's the game. Like, it's over. You're not getting back to the line to spike it. The clock just runs out after that, and we would hit the under that way. So that was my roller coaster tonight. I don't know if there's going to be conversation about the decision to go for 2. No brainer. Like, you go for 2 every time in that spot.
No question.
Part of why you why you defer and play defense is see what you go up against. You gave up the TD. You go for 2. What was there, like under 3 minutes left? You can't kick it away as a 3-8 team and either play for the tie or the loss. Like, you just have to go for the win. Clearly the right play call. Great play by Nick Bonita to knock it down. The guy was open. So good play there. Denver, of course, a 1-point win, like usual, like you said. I thought Knicks was good-ish early. Good-ish because it's good for Knicks. It's like, oh, yeah, look at that. He made a throw. It's kind of like how you talk about like when like your kid is in like the T-ball game and you're like, wow, contact, way to go. Like, that's kind of how I felt about Bo Nix, but it still didn't feel great, and it still felt like a lot of training wheels on this. He still had a really rough interception that almost turned the game for them. And just Washington's defense is not good, man. If you can't move the ball, and if you can't trust Knicks to actually play like real NFL quarterback against Washington, against this level defense, like, what is the point of the whole season for Denver? You have this super fun, talented defense. You're 10-2. You have the best record in football. But then you won't play offense. You won't play actual quarterback. Like, they're a playoff team. We're going to watch them, possibly in multiple games, but we're going to watch Bo Nix doing whatever this is. You got to give him a shot to go do some stuff at some point. And there were some moments tonight, but I just don't understand. Like, I know you're going to look at the box score and be like, 321, most passing yards in the day is because it was windy everywhere and everything. But like 45 passes and just not a guy making NFL decisions and reads. And he got the job done. He keeps getting the job done. If this is what Denver is, you're wasting this season because you're going to win 12 or 13 games. You're going to get to the playoffs and you're going to exit the way we all know you're going to exit, exactly like you did last year.
I guess my question is looking at the markets right now. So they're plus 165 or so to lose in the divisional round, plus 195 to lose in the wild card, and about plus 450 to lose in the conference championship. So, I mean, at the moment, if they hold the 2 seed, they're going to get a bye. So you can forget the wild card. And then basically it's, okay, home game, which, I mean, they could win if the opponent is someone like, I don't know, Jacksonville, the Chargers, the Colts, like maybe the Bills and Ravens, you maybe like the other side. But I was kind of considering loss in conference championship. It was plus 480 earlier, now down to about plus 460. I mean, it's kind of the script here, right? Like Denver wins a game, they look good, and then they flop out, assuming assuming they keep their seed and move forward. Bit of a difficult schedule, but they should beat the Raiders next week. And on top of that, I mean, you're just stacking wins at this point.
Yeah, so one thing you're thinking of old playoff format, 7 teams now, so only the 1 seed gets the bye, not just the 2 seed.
Yeah.
They're going to have to actually beat out, presumably, the Patriots for the bye, which they maybe will still.
That's fair.
Patriots have a much easier schedule, I think. After the Raiders, the Broncos finish with Packers, Jacksonville, Chiefs, Chargers. Those are 4 playoff games. Like, those are teams that the opponent is going to treat as a playoff game, that the opponent needs to win all 4 of those games. And frankly, those are exact sort of team that the Broncos might have to play in a home playoff game. So I don't know. I still am not sold on this team. They're 10-2 right now. That feels like 12-5 to me. And 12-5 might still be the 1 seed in the AFC. And yeah, suddenly you're in the divisional round. You get a home snowy January Denver game, and now you're in the conference championship, and you never know. Like, this defense can go win games on its own, and there's nobody good in the AFC. So sure, Denver absolutely could get to and lose in the conference championship, or get to and win it. Like, that is in play with the where the AFC is at. But I don't know that I can get excited about the options, because I do think the wild card is still in play. The wild card loss. Look, I think, I don't know what to do with this team, except that finally this year, they keep getting priced as pretty significant favorites like they did in this game, and they're not playing like they're significant favorites. This was a pretty evenly matched game. It kind of deserved to be a 1-point game at the end. And so last year, that didn't work anyways. You couldn't bet Bo Nix as a favorite or as an underdog. Sorry, you couldn't fade Bo Nix as a favorite because he was undefeated last year. This year, we at least can do that. So maybe that's just the way is. Maybe we just have to wait and bet against it in the playoffs. But, Denver just keeps finding a way in these games. And, the people are going to compare it to last year's Chiefs, compare it to some of those Vikings teams. We get teams like this every year. But again, those teams do the thing in the regular season, but then you got to do the real thing in the playoffs. And those teams don't do the real thing in the playoffs. If I'm Denver and I'm developing my young quarterback, trying to see what is the plan for this team, let Bo Nix play real football against the Packers, Jaguars, Chiefs, and Chargers. If you go 0-4 in those games, you're still making the playoffs, but at least now you know your quarterback's not real and you have to do something about it. Or maybe you learn a couple of things and now you can actually rip a few throws in a meaningful playoff game, because I don't trust that he's able to do that right now.
And just for precedent's sake, next week you've got Washington at Minnesota, you've got Denver at the Raiders, and both teams off of an overtime game on Sunday Night Football on the road next week. So not the easiest of scenarios. All right, you ready for Rams Panthers?
Yeah, let's move.
Let's move. Okay, Carolina wins the game 31-28 as 10-point dogs at home. Total goes over 44.5. Listen, the only team to show week-to-week consistency. Yes, they had some turnovers, a few tip balls, and lost a tight one. But my take here is we kind of just saw the Rams team we've seen every single week, and Carolina was up for the battle in this one. Carolina won the turnover battle 3-0, went 10 for 8 on 3rd down and 4th down. But listen, the Rams had 1 penalty in the game. Carolina had 7. I think a lot had to go right for Carolina to be in the position they were. They took advantage of it. But, Rams still Super Bowl favorites. I think they are the team they are. There was a tip ball in the red zone. Like, there were some things that kept them in the game. But I'm not worried about the Rams. The one thing I am worried about, and I kind of have been all year, is their secondary. I'm just not the biggest fan of that. Like, I think their pass rush is good. I think their linebackers are decent. But I think they can be beaten their secondary. And I think you saw some of it today. They went over the top to McMillan. And in the run game, Carolina 40 of 164. So I think they got into those linebackers as well, and they showed some weaknesses there. So to me, that's one of the takeaways from today. But overall, going forward, this isn't the game I'm going to be like, oh my God, what's happening to the Rams?
Yeah, I agree that this is the football is weirdly shaped and sometimes stuff happens. And that's what happened in this game. And the Panthers get credit for the win. Bryce Young made some huge throws, 2 long touchdowns on 4th down, a 33-yarder and then the 43 to Tet at the end of the game. That was worth 11.5 EPA just on those 2 plays. It's huge swings.
Wow.
That's fourth down. So you're either turning it over or ringing up 7 points on 14 points, basically, to that totally turn the game around for them. So, yeah, credit to Carolina for doing that. Stafford, you mentioned the tipped interception right after I think Schefter tweeted out, Stafford gets the early touchdown and is now 28 touchdowns in a row with no interceptions. And then like the very next drive, they're driving and you just get tipped for in the end zone. Okay, fine. Football happens. Next drive, Stafford intercepted again after only 2 all year, back-to-back interceptions. That one's for pick 6. So there's another free 7 points for Carolina. And then at the end of the game, last play for Stafford, I think it was 3rd down. So they're not looking great, but driving a little bit. And then he gets kind of sacked and fumbles, and that's the end of the game as well. So those 3 plays, 2 interceptions and a fumble, minus 18 EPA just on that. Those are Matthew Stafford mistakes. This is your MVP favorite. And this game, if it had happened on national television, if it happened like 2 weeks from now, I think he loses the MVP from it. I think it's maybe early enough that he can still rebound. Like, you want to get this bad one out of the way, because now the Rams, like, weirdly, this should hurt the MVP case because he played poorly. It was on him, and they lose and fall out of the 1 seed. In a weird way, what actually happens is now that Lions game in a couple of weeks, now that Thursday night game against Seattle, now that's the chance to go be the hero in a big, meaningful game when otherwise they were kind of starting to pull away from the crowd. Now you got to go be the MVP in one of those games. So I think this could maybe come back around for him. I saw from ESPN stats, this is the 4th straight game that the Super Bowl favorite at the time has lost outright. It was Chiefs 2 in a row. Then we switched it to the Eagles. I don't know why we made them the Super Bowl favorites. They lost last week. And then, or maybe that was just the game this Friday, and then the Rams now. So favorites everywhere going down. The Rams were like the one bastion of hope we had. Nobody's good this year. Everyone's terrible. The AFC stinks. At least the Rams are good. Well, apparently everyone just stinks. Like, this is it. Not really, though. You mentioned 1 penalty for the Rams, 7.5 yards of play for the game. They only got to 3rd down 5 times all game. This offense was churning. They just had 3 turnovers. Success rate for the game, 61% for the Rams, 39% for the Panthers. That is like a double-digit trending towards 20-point sort of win a lot of the time. The Rams are running all over them. The Panthers weren't moving the ball that well, but when you get a pick 6 and 2 4th down touchdowns, that's it. The big plays swing the game, and that's the sort of thing that success rate doesn't show, but EPA does. So Carolina, to me, this is a fluke win for them, but doesn't matter. They all count the same. They're 7-6 into the bye. Then they have the Saints, so probably 8-6. They've now earned the right to get Bucks, Seahawks, Bucks. They're in this now. Like, we have to follow Carolina all the way to week 18 with Bucks twice in those last 3 games. They've got their shot. Like, this, it's Bucks, Panthers all the way down to the end. As for the Rams, 9-3, no longer the 1 seed. This could be really bad because Seattle's so good. This might drop you not 1-2, but 1-5 if they're not careful. Those Lions Seahawks games. Now I think what today means for the Rams is not a whole lot, but you might have to win one of those games where I don't think you had to before to be the thing that the Rams are supposed to be. But they're good enough. They can probably still do that.
Talking about Bryce Young for a second, 6 of 6 facing the blitz today, all 3 touchdown passes. I mean, I think this is more about his game and what Carolina could be. 10.3 yards gained per attempt for Young too. I mean, he really made some of those passes when they needed them and won the game for them. So some notes on Carolina. I tweeted a few of these out, but just insane all around. So McVay had been 20-0 straight up as a road favorite of 4+ points. He had won 15 straight as a road favorite before today. And Carolina, now 2 games won as a double-digit underdog this season. First time they've done that since 96. And they have 7 wins as an underdog already this year, tied with the 2016 Bucks for the most through 13 games in the Super Bowl era. So this is right, what we're seeing from an underdog standpoint, because nobody believes in them. And their schedule keeps giving them like the Rams every week. And they win every other game, it seems like, to kind of sit at 7-6. But some crazy things going on in Carolina. I'm actually curious, before we move on, just some markets questions. So Tet McMillan, now the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, sitting at plus 125. Dart, Ibuka kind of behind him. I think Dart, kind of interesting right now, sitting at plus 230 entering tomorrow night's game. And then the MVP market with this, Matthew Stafford sitting at plus 110 and Drake May sitting at plus 130 just behind them. I think it's kind of interesting that McMillan, I'm sorry, not McMillan, what was it? Dart and May kind of sitting second before the game tomorrow night. Could be an opportunity. So that's what I was kind of looking at.
Yeah, it's tough with Dart because I don't have the number in front of me, but I remember seeing in my kind of Offensive Rookie of the Year profile, it's extremely rare and hasn't happened for quite a while, I think, for a quarterback to miss more than like 2 games and still win Rookie of the Year. So Dart obviously didn't start this season, so he already missed some startup and now misses, 2 games now, I think, or did he just miss 1? I forget what he missed in this range, but we're 2 games now. I think 3 maybe to start the year. We're short on numbers. The problem is both offense and defensive Rookie of the Year is just there's not really a clear choice, and we got to give the trophy out. So that's why we're still looking at this. So I don't know. I think with Dart, you need to have, like, maybe you get the win against New England, and we'll preview that game later. There's your Rookie of the Year moment. But I think you're going to need to have a moment. Like, you can't just be a decent quarterback with decent stats, especially as Tet McMillan just had his moment. That was the big touchdown to upset the Rams, and he's probably going to get more chances, against Tampa in those games down the stretch. So I think he's the right favorite. To me, I'm still looking down the board at Rookie of the Year, both offense and defense. Here's another preview for you that I'll have a pick on that later in the show as well. Nice. MVP, we've talked a lot about it. It still feels like Stafford and May are out ahead of the field. To me, kind of what I said with the Rams here, like I think with Stafford that this is not the end for him. I think that the narrative is built up enough for him, and it could still another game like this, and then that's the end. But look, Drake May's going to play tomorrow night also. And Drake May, like, the way we do things with MVP now is once you get to this, like, around Thanksgiving range, right before and after, it's real danger to be the lead for MVP or any of these big awards because we're all bored and we all need to change our opinion every couple of weeks. So as soon as you're the favorite, everyone just wants to knock you down and find some reason for you not to be anymore. So Drake May, keep winning and they go 15-2. He's going to win MVP. But what if you don't blow out the Giants? What if you lose in the Bills in a couple of weeks? Like, Drake May is going to have chances to do what Stafford just did, which is lose a game, lose MVP. And I think that's why Stafford getting the loss out of the way with early enough, still November when that happened. So I think I still like Stafford. Maybe this is a slight buy low spot for him. If I'm picking one of the two, I'd certainly rather invest in him right now. I just think he has an easier case with media narrative.
He certainly has the pedigree. New England has the schedule, so we will see what happens there. All right, let's go to the next game. Colts, Texans. So Houston wins this game 2016 as 3-point dogs. Total under 44.5. The injury off the top, Sauce Gardner hurt. Looks like a calf strain, probably week to week. So maybe he misses the Jacksonville game this week, and they're at Jacksonville, then at Seattle. So 2 pretty difficult games. They could definitely use his services. So we will see there. This was just a really tight game to me overall. I think lots of things to point to. The Colts defense really helped them stay in this one. But it was just killer on offense, going 3 of 12 on 3rd down, 4th down. And the Indy offense just couldn't stay in rhythm. I mean, Taylor held under 90 yards. DJ completing under like 55% of his passes. Under pressure, DJ today, 5 of 11. And while blitz, 2 of 11. So to me, Texans defense do what they really do every week and really made Jones uncomfortable. Listen, the last 2 Colts drives got inside the Houston 35-yard line. And they ended with these 5 plays: a -5-yard run, an incomplete pass, a 1-yard run, and then 3 incomplete passes. So the Colts really had their chances to get this game at multiple points and failed, and that's what a lot of people have done now with the Texans defense. So Houston wins again, and they're at Kansas City on Sunday Night Football next week, which seems like a decent spot for KC with Houston off the win. KC's done really well against Houston in the past, but what do you make from this one?
Yeah, it was a tale of two halves, I thought, for the Colts. First half offense, and I was watching because I was on Colts first quarter, and the offense barely even got to play in the first quarter. They go 3 and out, 5 plays, 18 yards, turnover on downs. We saw 2 tight end quarterback sneak fumbles in the first opening window today, which the Colts were one of them. Then they get a touchdown, but on a short field after interception, then punt and halftime. So just basically no offense in the first half. Then second half, they found offense. They got 9 plays, 79 yards and a score, 41-yard, 8-play field goal drive. Then the drive you're talking about, 8 for 52, but turnover on downs. But, these teams will play again in a couple of weeks. I think that should give some hope to Colts fans that, okay, we found some answers eventually against this defense. We know how it is with Houston in the second halves over the years. But really, mostly coin flippy game. And I thought, like you said, Houston won it on late downs. 30% success rate higher for Houston than Indianapolis, even though they both were 0 of 2 on fourth down, is third down conversion stuff. And I think, too, we kind of, because Houston's offense has been so terrible for much of the season, I feel like we haven't totally noticed, like CJ Stroud has actually been kind of pretty good, honestly, after the first month. So the first 4 games, terrible. And obviously, we know he's just back from a few weeks away, too. But you know that from week 5 forward, CJ Stroud is top 5 in the NFL in EPA per play. Here's the guys he's behind: Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Drake May. That's it. Then CJ Stroud. This is the quarterback that he was supposed to be, and he hit some big throws against a really good secondary. And I know Sauce was missing a bunch of the game, but still a couple other good corners there. And Houston is still not a good offense. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you that, but if this is even like an average offense with this defense, that Texans-Chiefs game next week becomes a monster game, because there's a world where that game knocks one team basically out of the playoffs, and the other one might become like the betting favorite in the AFC. Like those are the 2 teams that, like, Houston would at that point be off of beating Buffalo, Indy, and the Chiefs in 3 straight games, and suddenly in the mix. Or Houston's out and the Chiefs get the big win and they're looking back good and they're probably the favorite again. So it's like a kind of huge playoff game on a Sunday night. And we'll get to lead into that one next week on the show. But Colts are now tied for the division lead, only 1 game up on Houston. Houston's 4-1 in the division, and they play the Colts in Houston in week 18. So that one's going to be a huge one for them if they can hang around till then. The Colts have now lost 3 of 4. They go at Jacksonville next week. If I recall, I believe the Colts have covered 2 of the last 20 games against Jacksonville, and they are 1-point favorites right now. So not covering would be very bad for them. Then they go at Seattle, then San Fran, and then Jacksonville again, Houston again to close out. So a lot of talk about Daniel Jones playing with like a fractured leg. Didn't look great today. Only took 1 sack, so I guess that's encouraging. But this is not going the right direction for them. They started the day, I think, as the 1 seed, or at least in the mix for it. They end the day seriously in threat to lose the division, and I think at this point even possibly miss the playoffs still.
Yeah, that is exactly where I was headed. I wrote down plus 240 or so. When I looked earlier to miss the playoffs, hardest remaining strength of schedule when looking at win percentage. And you talked about it, but Jacksonville, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Houston, like that's the way you end the year. Not pretty whatsoever. And having to face that defense again at the end of the season in Houston, not pretty. I'll give you this stat. In November or later, Daniel Jones has faced a defense allowing under 20 points per game 9 times. He has now won 7-1 straight up in those games. He's done it in the last 2 weeks now with this defense and the KC defense in that spot. So we will see how this goes. But Houston has been a thorn in the side of Indy as well, beating them 4 straight. First time they've done that in franchise history, and they've won 4 straight in Indy as well. So definitely a frustrating day. I really agree with you. Like I think Indy is in some trouble here. Taylor's been kind of like bottled up in terms of at least Taylor stuff. And without
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor going for 125, 150, the Colts have just been mediocre. Like they can't find Michael Pittman. They're relying on, hero catches in certain situations. So have to see how it looks at. And again, KC next week, and then you get a little bit of a reprieve, Arizona and Vegas. But I'm sorry, that's Houston, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, some of these
Yeah.
offenses, the Indianapolis offense, the Seattle offense, the teams that in September and October were the story of the season so far, these surprising offenses with mediocre veteran type quarterbacks, now suddenly coming back down to earth as teams have more tape, more chance to get them on the film. Look, I know we're not going to talk about the Seahawks. You'll give them on the brief recap later. Not good offensively today. Like not a banner day for Seattle's offense. Their defense just was incredible. But these offenses that had all the answers early, now defenses are starting to, they've got the answers to the test too. And so now we need to see, okay, what can Shane Steichen do to find some other answers? Jonathan Taylor today, 85 yards seems fine, but 21 carries. So 4 yards a pop, and that's like half of their plays. Texans are going to take that every game. Like that's perfectly fine with them. Longest run, 12 yards. That's great. You can run all you want and just not hit any explosives down the field, and we'll take that all game. And the Colts are not going to win games by doing that. They've got to either break some long runs with Taylor, or they're going to have Daniel Jones make some plays. That's it. The defense is not going to win games for them. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very tight for the Colts. 8-4. I would think maybe you split the Jacksonville games. You hope to split Seattle-San Fran, but I could see them losing both of those. At that point, you're at 10 wins going to Houston for the, inevitable Sunday night week 18 game that the AFC South has just like locked in at this point. And I don't know, Indianapolis at Houston, that smells a lot like a de facto playoff game in week 18 right now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's stay in the AFC and keep rolling here. So we're going to do some shorter recaps. Bills, Steelers. Buffalo wins this game 26-7. Cover a 3-point spread on the road. Total under 44.5. I mean, the entire story of this game, I feel like, is just Pittsburgh's offense. Couldn't move the ball all day. Had one drive that ended in points, 6 plays, 2 nice passes, and a touchdown run. But aside from that, it was garbage. 3 of 10 on third down, fourth down. 58 rushing yards on 18 carries, under 4 yards per play. Darnell Washington leads the league in leads the team in receiving yards, and that's basically 2 bulldozers in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, it was just really bad. And I'll give you some perspective how bad it was. On early downs, Pittsburgh's EPA per play was worse than Minnesota's today, and Minnesota did not score. So that is the perspective I will leave you with. But aside from that, Buffalo just did enough. I am still not impressed with Buffalo whatsoever. I'll talk about just some angles I'm looking at when I'm done here. But to me, this is all about Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, and just terrible Pittsburgh offense. Rodgers' quote in postgame was, "It was a poor practice week." I'm sure Mike Tomlin's going to love that. What do you take away?
Yeah, I thought this was another tale of two halves. This is everything you fear about Buffalo in the first half as they trail at halftime, and this is like full-on Tomlin voodoo script at halftime. Then we come out of the half, and the first play after halftime, Rodgers gets hit, fumbles the ball, return for a touchdown. He gets hurt. Like, that's it. One play after halftime, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is over. The voodoo ended at halftime. This is it. And Pittsburgh didn't score again. Rudolph throws an interception like 3 plays after that. Buffalo ended up with 31 more plays, 26-10 first downs, more than double the yardage. It's dominant performance, running the ball and dominant defensively for sure. So Buffalo's profile, I think this is interesting. This is the game they want to have where they can run. And Josh Allen was 1.7 average depth of target in this game. That was Buffalo saying, you're not beating us, Pittsburgh. As long as we don't beat ourselves, you're not beating us. And up next, 8-4 Buffalo plays the Bengals and then the Patriots, who we know are dangerous because they're quarterbacks, but they're also both teams that cannot run the football. And Buffalo's defense is awful stopping the run. Can they hold up pass defense? And can Buffalo run the ball in those games? That's the script that they want. This is not the script Pittsburgh wants. And I think this is just, again, here we are. It's December. The Steelers are 500, fighting to get one win over 500 and keep the streak alive. And they are who we thought they were, and they have been for like a decade now. But they're still not doomed because they're the only division in football without a 500 team. Every other division has at least two, and they're still tied with Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati still in the mix from these losses too.
Yeah, in my opinion, though, I think this Pittsburgh team versus all the other Pittsburgh teams feels a little different if you're talking about actually trying to get there and finish above 500, not finish below 500. You're at Baltimore next week. And after that, you're at home against Miami on Monday Night Football. In my opinion, you better hope Miami loses to the Jets this week and kind of loses that momentum, because I don't even think you want that to be a game, because you follow that up at Detroit and at Cleveland. Like, those are not easy contests for Pittsburgh to try to walk away from if they have no offense, which at the moment it's so inconsistent. Run game, pass game, Rodgers, like nothing looks right. This is a tougher stretch in my opinion. So I'll say this, though, even looking at both teams, kind of out on both teams a little bit. Like, this game didn't give me much confidence in Buffalo because I know Buffalo can do this. Like, I know in this type of matchup, Buffalo can play well. It's the through the air, the pass game, trying to keep up on offense. I feel like trying not to make Josh hero ball is something that I fear in Buffalo. They're marked at like 10-1 to miss the playoffs right now. Like, I don't necessarily think they're going to miss the playoffs, especially after this win. But again, Cincinnati, New England, Cleveland, Philly, like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Again, I think it's more likely they sneak in the wild card. New England takes the division, and we just go back to scratch and kind of lose the 10-1 shot. But feels a little long.
Yeah, Buffalo has become a team that can lose any game. Like with Josh Allen, you can win any game, but they just are unpredictable because they can look. The stats today are dominant. This is a dominant performance by them, even though at halftime they're losing, because like that's the Bills in a nutshell, is they can play that half and they can play the second half and they can put you away. You just don't necessarily know right now which version are you going to get, and do you get the breaks to pull back around. And when you get to the playoffs and have to do that 4 times in a row, I'm not sure this team is going to have that in them.
All right, I'll end you with this and then we'll keep going. The AFC North, 12-21-1 ATS outside the division this year. They were 0-2 today. That is the worst mark for the AFC North since 1990. And that is a lot of different AFC Norths. But this is a bad version of the division, it seems, this year. All right, let's keep going here. Arizona and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wins the game 2017. Arizona covers the 4.5, total under 45.5. This was a grind them out, low-scoring, poorly played win that keeps Tampa Bay ahead in the division after Carolina's upset of the Rams. Like, Tampa Bay really, really couldn't lose this game. And they didn't, but I felt like at the end it was getting a little bit hairy, and it felt like if the game would have gone a little bit longer, Arizona might have figured out a way. But between Baker's injury, comeback, and welcome back, and the way he looked in this game, to Bucky's return, to Marvin Harrison being back in this game, it felt like a lot of different moving parts. And again, I kind of just felt like Tampa Bay got lucky here, but I'll let you kind of go from there. What did you see Arizona-Tampa?
Yeah, I'll take it a step further. I thought Arizona was very clearly the better team on the field today. They opened 11 plays, 73 yards, right down the field, interception in the red zone. Okay, later on, 10 yards, 65, or 10 plays, 65 yards down the field, you miss a 43-yard field goal. We're not missing 43s anymore in today's era. They late in the game, they go for a 4th down in their own territory, turnover on downs. The Bucs get 0 yards out of it, but kick a field goal. They end up winning by 3. So on the game, Arizona has over 100 yards more than Tampa Bay, 1.4 yards per play higher, 9 more first downs, 60 to 43% success rate. Dominant performance by Arizona, but 2 turnovers to none, 3 of 8 on 3rd down, 0 of 4 on 4th down, and that's it. You can get all the plays and all the success, but like we said with a couple other games already, those big swing plays can change everything, and that's what happened. The Bucs keep getting the swing plays. They feel in a lot of ways kind of like Denver, that they're getting the plays that matter, like Carolina's the win today, but can you keep getting those? Tampa Bay was on a 3-game losing streak and really should be on a 4-game losing streak. They shouldn't feel great, but now it's Saints and Falcons, and then it's those Panthers games down the stretch. So it is a soft, winnable schedule. Dolphins in between there. Tampa could pretty easily win all 5 of those games. They should. They are the better team by a decent margin in all 5 remaining games, but they haven't played like the better team. I think to store away, Arizona 3-9, officially now eliminated from the playoffs. They've played 9 one-score games. Arizona has losses this season by 1-1, 3-3, 3-4, and 4. This is a dangerous team. So beware. The Rams, who we talked about, they played the Cardinals twice still. Be careful, Los Angeles Rams. The Texans, the Bengals, they play the Cardinals. I guarantee you, Houston and Cincy are going to be favoring those games. It's going to be the easy one, quote unquote, to try to get a win and get in your playoff picture. Beware. The Cardinals are going to beat a couple of these teams or give them a good scare down the stretch, and they should have won this game today.
Yeah, Rams, Texans, and Bengals should all be games they're underdogs in, and they will be feisty in those. Arizona, you said 3-9, but they are also 9-3 first quarter ATS. So they start hot, they stay in the game, they just can't finish at the end. So, that is a trend that has kind of stuck with them all season. Also worth mentioning here, Trey McBride, 8 of 82 in this game. He has now 8+ catches in 4 straight games. And last time I looked, he leads the NFL in receptions as a tight end with 88. So he is having an incredible year for a crappy, unlucky team. I'll say it again before we get out of here. Tampa Bay secondary just scares me. 29th in dropback success rate this year. I just don't know. They need to get healthier on the offensive side of the ball if their secondary is going to be that bad, where they're going to have to play in shootouts. So, we've talked about Mike Evans, that's probably not happening, but nice to see Godwin play well. And we'll see what happens with Ibuka. Last time I looked, -550 to win the division for Tampa Bay. And that I think I'm almost positive, and it is, that price is including a win against New Orleans next week. They're like -8.5 with Carolina on a bye. So see how it goes there. All right, let's keep rolling. Anything else?
No, let's move.
All right. Miami wins 21-17. New Orleans covers the 5.5. Total under 41.5. I wrote the game I know I didn't need. We moved this game around a lot in our rundown today, and honestly, it was really, really close to being much higher because New Orleans was about 6 inches from recovering an onside kick and really destroying Miami's playoff dreams. But as classic New Orleans fashion, they come up just short. Miami comes away with it. But, oh boy, Tua ends with 12 completions, 0 touchdown passes, an interception. He fumbled. He got sacked 4 times, and they won again by basically 6 inches. So to me, this is just New Orleans not starting fast enough and trying to catch up at the end of games. 1-11 against the first quarter spread this year. 0-11-1 first quarter money line. Worst mark in the NFL. 92-19 outscored in 12 first quarters. You just can't win that way. Now, we're going to see what happens with Tampa Bay next week, but that's the story here. Miami continues their run. They can say they're still winning, but they played shitty in this game.
Yeah, passing 29% success rate against this opponent, that is a big yikes for Mike McDaniel going forward. Wolf. Even though you keep winning these games, that's not a good setup. We took Miami first half, 16-0 at halftime. We're cashed, we're out of here, and then the Saints almost won the game after that. And if you didn't see anything about this game, you're like 21-17, 2 teams that don't matter. Why are we talking about this? 21-17 seems like a normal game. This was not a normal game. Nothing about 21-17 was normal. It's 16-0. Saints score a touchdown and go for 2, 16-8, because they know we're not going to score a bunch of times. We got to get points where we can. Each team gets a field goal, so it's 19-11. Classic 19-11 game, am I right? The Saints drive. Tyler Shuck, honestly, not looking terrible. Drives them down the field. Saints get a touchdown. Okay, you're down 8. It's late. You got to go for 2 for the win. And we get a pick 2. He gets intercepted by Minkah Fitzpatrick. 19-17, and Fitzpatrick goes the other way for 2, which is not insignificant because now not only did you not get the 2 points, a field goal would have won it. Now you need a touchdown. You go from down 2 to not tying, but now down 4 instead. It's a hilarious way for them to lose because then new guy, Charlie Smith, Irish kicker, who they signed instead of Justin Tucker, thank God, this week. He comes out, he hits a 56-yard field goal. They recovered that onside kick, Evan. That counted. They said Miami touched it first. They got the kick. They recovered it. They drove down the field to, I think, the 36-yard line. Charlie Smith could have been the hero, but they can't because they threw a pick too. So they can't kick the field goal. They're behind by 4, and they put Tyler Shuck, who has 1,000 injuries in his career and can't run the ball to save his life, under center for a QB sneak. And that's the 6 inches they lost by, not the onside, because the man didn't move forward at all. And that was the end of the game. If you're the Saints, just week after week, finding hilarious ways to lose and preserve the tank, which I just thought this, like, what a ridiculously stupid 21-17 game that I thought was glorious. And to me, the highlight of a terrible day of football. This was the one, Saints-Dolphins.
Yeah, I think the one note on Miami I'll say is this. So they've won now 3 in a row, 4 of 5. They're 5-7. They travel to the Jets next week. So this is, to me, this is, I mean, they're 80-1 to make the playoffs. They just got to keep winning because everyone in front of them just keeps losing. But it would be just funny. I at least want them at 6-7, so we at least can talk about it when they go to Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football, because they're going to that game would be actually mildly intriguing if Miami can beat the Jets, because they're a little bit of streak, a little fun. We will see how it goes there. Processing note on the Saints: they've now gone under 8 straight games. They are 40-23 in the last 63 to the under. Tyler Shuck, of course, now 4-0 to the under himself. So see how that goes against Tampa next week. All right, we are going to do a mini wrap-up of the Thanksgiving and Black Friday games. Honestly, I'm giving you scores and stats. He's giving you one note or so just to kind of touch up here. But I will say this. All 4 dogs won outright on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Absolute chaos. For the first time since 2003 and third time since 1990, underdogs went undefeated outright on Thanksgiving. Definitely doesn't happen often. But let's start from the bottom here. Green Bay beats Detroit 31-24, 2.5-point dogs, total over 47.5. Matt LaFleur, just again as an underdog, 21-18 straight up. He is the only coach above 500 as an underdog with this many games in the Super Bowl era. I mean, what do you take away from Green Bay Detroit?
Yeah, the story of the game was pretty easy. It was just 4th downs. Detroit goes 0-2 on 4th down. Green Bay goes 3 for 3, 2 touchdown passes. That's it. That's the game. And Detroit now, the other takeaway is the injuries just piling up. Laporte is out. Now the backup tight end, Brock Wright, is out long-term. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets rolled up on the 4th play of the game for Detroit offensively. He looks like, I'm going to guess, will likely miss at least the Thursday night game, and then it's a long break after that. So this seems like the prudent decision. And then the weird loss, Frank Ragnow comes out of retirement on the last day he's able to. And I'm all excited. Like, this dude is awesome. This is going to revitalize their season. He's the center from last year. If you don't know that name, he's so important. You can see like the on-off splits with him. And then he fails his physical with a grade 3 hamstring, which means like hanging off the bone, buddy. What are you doing on retiring? But it's like a serious loss for this team because the interior of the line was not good in this game and hasn't been for a while. So Green Bay 8-3-1. Honestly, this is a big win. It kind of feels underwhelming. Like, the stats were basically a coin flip game on this one against Detroit, who's missing everyone on offense. So I can't be super too excited about that. Detroit, though, 7-5. Dallas next, probably without Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then at the Rams. They might need to go 4-1. And quietly, they're a big loser today as well on the rest of the weekend. The Bears got a win. That was not great for them. We saw the Panthers win. We saw the Cowboys win. All the other NFC teams that Detroit is trying to get a playoff spot from are all getting into better shape now. I think I've seen Detroit as low as like 30% in some models to make the playoffs. This is a team that, you know, a lot of times we thought this season could be best in the NFC. And it just seems like it's getting away from them with all the injuries right now.
All right, let's keep rolling here. KC Dallas. Dallas wins the game 31-28 as 3.5-point dogs. Total goes over 53.5. KC officially under their win total. Dallas 5-1 against the spread as underdogs this year, 2-4 as favorites. And dogs that scored 20 plus in all 6 games, ideal for Dallas when they are an underdog. So score a lot of points. Nice to be getting points. What do you make from this one? Dallas takes the game.
Yeah, Chiefs corners really struggled. A lot of pass interference in this game. Like this is if Pickens and Lamb are playing like this, Dallas can hang with anyone offensively, and with Dak obviously throwing the ball. And frankly, this kind of just looked like two slightly above average teams trying to hang out and see who could be better on the day. That's what the Chiefs and Cowboys feel like right now. And they went 3 of 3 on fourth down, 2 fourth down touchdown passes just to be that close at the end and couldn't finish it. So Chiefs now 6-6. They are 4 losses back in the division. We talked about that Texans game Sunday night. Chargers after that. That's tough. They still play the Broncos on Christmas. This feels like a true toss-up for the team that we've still kind of thought is probably the AFC favorite. So danger for them. Dallas 6-5-1. We've got the tie now. Both Packers and Cowboys. That tie might end up screwing both of them at the end. Here's where I'm at with the tie. I think the tie is bad for the division because you want wins going up. If you're competing for something high, you want wins, but it might be good for the playoffs because it's not a loss. So if you're avoiding losses, that tie might end up giving Dallas a real shot here. 6-5-1. They go 4-1 and get to 10-6-1. That beats 10-7, which is what Detroit and some of these other teams might end up sitting at. They go Minnesota, Washington, and New York still. These are winnable games. Dallas is alive and very dangerous if they're playing like that, especially with the defense playing better.
Yeah, current team is favorite to win the Super Bowl from the AFC West is definitely not the Chiefs. Or I'm sorry, a favorite to win the AFC, and it's not the Chiefs. All right, let's keep rolling here. Bengals beat the Ravens 32-14 as 7-point dogs. Total goes under 52.5. Joe Burrow has closed as an underdog of 3 points or more 21 times after this week. He is now 18-3 ATS in those games, 13-1 since 2021, and he will be in that spot a few more times most likely this season with that defense. What do you make from this Bengals throbbing?
Yeah, the stats were not as bad as the final score, but Ravens turn it over 5 times. You're going to lose pretty much every time when you lose 5-1 on the turnovers. I thought the Bengals defense maybe played better, but just something is off with Ravens offense right now. It just doesn't look right. Lamar doesn't look right. Derrick Henry good on the first drive, and then they barely even touch him again the rest of the game. Everything that was clicking so well for them last year and to start the season, it's just not there right now. So they are 6-6. They only have 1 win against the Bears. That's against a team above 4 wins the entire season. And they still go Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. So they are not a lock or anything close to it for the division, for the playoffs. I think the Bengals are alive still. They're going to have to get some tough wins, Bills and the Ravens next. But this gave them a shot in that division. It's got to be division or nothing. They're not getting a wild card at this point. But Joe Burrow, we might have a shot here. That game against Buffalo at Sunday is going to be interesting.
Yeah, at least we get some fun weeks of Burrow with the Bengals still involved. It's kind of what that game gave us. All right. And Black Friday, Chicago wins 24-15 as 7-point road dogs in Philly. Total goes under 43.5. The Chicago Bears are the 1 seed. I could probably stop there, but that is where they are currently sitting. The fun one I tweeted out before, and this is just shows to Chicago history. Ben Johnson, 7-4-1 against the spread. Head coach of the Bears right now. He's profited $100 better, 250. That would actually be the highest ATS mark for any Bears coach since Ditka. Which is kind of shows everything that's happened up into that point. I was curious about your conversation just on this point. Ben Johnson versus Mike Vrabel for Coach of the Year. I was surprised to see Vrabel as such a big favorite. Obviously, record helps, but how is Ben Johnson not Coach of the Year?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's projecting forward, where we know the Patriots' schedule is so winnable and that they look like
That's
the 1
fair.
seed, and the Bears are the 1 seed right now. But I think probably aren't even the favorite to win their own division still, because they got the Packers games both coming up still. So I think if the season ended today, Ben Johnson's the Coach of the Year, but we still got 5 more games. And the Bears, like this might be the sell high point. They go at Green Bay, then they got Browns. They can lose that game. The Browns defense can beat you. And then Packers again at the Niners, which might be a really big, possibly even like a playoff game. And then week 18 against the Lions, who the Lions are going to be fighting for their lives at that point still. And that could be a playoff game. So Chicago's got tough games going out. Ben Johnson is going to have to keep doing his thing. It feels like the sell high spot, but to me, this is huge, huge red flags for Philadelphia. The Bears straight up out Philadelphia, the Eagles in this game. A blustery day on a Black Friday, and one team runs all over the other opponent with a pair of 100-yard rushers and gets like a dominant win. That's the Eagles script. That's the thing Philadelphia is supposed to do, and they got it done to them. Chicago doubled them up on first downs, almost doubled them up on time of possession. Philadelphia's offense plays a team with no linebackers, basically. Like the entire linebacking crew is hurt, and they did nothing attacking the backers, nothing over middle of the field. All the stuff we've been seeing about the Eagles and worrying all year. This to me was the most worrying sign against, not because the Bears are so terrible, but the way this game script went. This is the game the Eagles are supposed to get and win. This is what they're built to do. And they got by the exact thing that they're supposed to do. So to me, I'm a lot more worried about the Eagles than I even thought I was before.
Yeah, Eagles should make the playoffs, but at that point, who knows what's going to happen? It's a one game. I mean, it's Philly at that point. I think up until then, they're just they look a mess. I think the thing with Philly is, do they look like 2023 or do they look more like 2024? And unfortunately, they're looking like 2023 a little bit more. All right, San Francisco, Cleveland. We're just going to do scores here. San Francisco wins 26-8. Cover -5.5 on the road. Total goes under 35.5. Wind was the story. Average wind was 25 miles an hour in this one. Total goes under, as I mentioned. Cleveland 0-6 against the spread after a straight-up win since the start of last year. And Cleveland next week faces Tennessee. Total in that game is 33.5. Should be amazing. The other one I thought was interesting, San Francisco to lose in the wild card, -110 right now. I saw at a book. If that was closer to even, I'd consider it because I think based off the matchup, that's probably where they're going to sit. So that was just something I was looking at. But I'll keep going here. Atlanta Jets win the game 27-24 as a 3-point home dog. Total over 38.5. Last time I looked, and this actually might have changed. Probably should have checked this because it was a great note. I'm going to refresh the page as I am now vamping, but it looks like to me only Zach Ertz became the second. So 2 players today now have 100+ receiving yards. It was Zach Ertz and A.D. Mitchell was the only other player with 100+ receiving yards today. Glad I looked that up to save that one. But the other crazy note from this one, and this is just blows me away. Last 3 seasons, 2 teams are below 500 against the spread when they run the ball 25+ times, which usually is a sign that everything is going right. Tennessee is 8-14, and Atlanta is 14-20 when they run the ball 25+ times. Feels almost impossible, but that is Atlanta in the last 3 years. All right, let's keep rolling here. Jacksonville and Tennessee. Jacksonville wins the game 25-3 as a 6-point road favorite. Total under 42.5. Tennessee, man, what a disaster. Tennessee has lost 8 straight AFC South games outright. They're 3-14 against the spread versus their own division the last 3 seasons. By far the worst mark in the NFL. Let's keep going here. Raiders, Chargers. Chargers win the game 31-14. Cover 9.5 at home. Total over 40.5. The story here isn't the game, but it is Justin Herbert's broken, I believe, non-throwing hand. That's right, Brandon? Non-throwing, I believe.
Non-throwing hand.
Yep. And also, so story is there. We'll see if he can go this weekend. If not, it is Trey Lance. And then the other story is Brock Bowers. Wow. 2 touchdowns, an amazing grab. It is just nice to see him in that offense and gives some promise for the Raiders going forward. And then finally, Seattle wins the game 26-0. They cover -12.5 at home. Total under 42.5. Brosmer was completely and utterly terrible in this game. I mean, we all had hope. He threw 4 picks early, just comical Will Levis like pick 6. Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores on Sam Darnold's success in Seattle. We had a great rapport, a friendship. I'm happy for him, but we were going to blitz him all day this week, and it did nothing. Didn't matter. Who cares? Seattle didn't even look great in this game. They looked so shaky early. But Minnesota just can't find a quarterback. All right, let's go to Monday Night Football. All right, so to me, in terms of storylines, New England's won 9 straight. This kind of worked for them last week, even though with the non-cover. But teams on an 8+ game straight-up win streak, about 39% against the spread since 2010, and 11-22 since 2020. So New England in a bit of a tough spot here, -7.5. I kind of like the Giants. I mean, what is your play here on the game itself?
Yeah, I think it does feel a touch long, especially above the 7 if you still get it there. Neither defense has been that great this season, both bottom 10 DVOA. The Patriots offense has been better by the numbers, but actually like last 6 games, especially with Dart on the field, the Giants offense has really looked pretty good by the numbers, and Dart has been quite successful. I think that the Giants run defense, which is historically bad right now, that's not something the Patriots can hurt them with. So I think that there's some matchup stuff that could keep this game close. And don't forget, like, this is a rivalry. This is the Super Bowl rematch that the Giants stole both times. They've won 4 of 6 since the Super Bowl. So the Giants some teams just have a way of hanging in certain matchups. Giants are also a very strong luck side. Also, again, similar to tonight with the Commanders play. I think this is like a top 20 all-time luck side. So yeah, I would lean Giants, especially get the 7.5. You're on Giants as well?
Yeah, like the Giants, like the 7.5. I mean, to me, again, I just feel like the Giants have done well to start fast in games. 9-3 first quarter ATS, and I believe 2 of those losses are from Russell Wilson. So with Jameis and Dart, they're just a faster team, a better team. As an underdog of 3 points or more, Dart is 4-1 against the spread, both full game and the first half. So to me, I just like the fast pace starting Giants in this one. So I would go New York. I like a few props, but tell me what else you like here.
Yeah, I'm going to play Abdul Carter. I'm going to play the rookie here, and I kind of teased this earlier. Give me over 0.25 sacks. It's plus 195 at DraftKings. We're not asking for much, but my man only has a half a sack in his career. So we're going to have to get it on a Monday night. Patriots are missing Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, both their rookies on the left side of the line. Kayvon Thibodeau is out for the Giants. So we're going to get a lot of Abdul Carter rushing the passer. He's been good. He's just not finishing the job. On the season, Brian Burns, the other pass rusher in the Giants, 39 pressures. Carter is 38, so 1 less. That's top 25 in the NFL. Burns has 13 sacks. Carter is a half of a sack. What is happening? Finish the job, Abdul Carter. So honestly, everyone above Carter on the pressure list has at least 4 sacks. He's at a half on the season. I think some regression is coming. 2 sacks, probably not going to happen, but let's find out. It's plus 1540. And then here's the real escalator. I don't think it's too late for this. Abdul Carter's numbers underneath are pretty good. 20-1 for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think still is in play. We don't really have great contenders for Rookie of the Year on the defensive side either. Carson Schlesinger, he's the favorite. I'm taking that into account. I have the ticket, 35-1 from the preseason. We have Emanwari, 60-1. He's like the 4th favorite. This race is so open. Jihad Campbell was like a top 2 favorite. He didn't play a snap for the Eagles on Black Friday. Like, he did not see the field, and that's who we're putting as Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate. So Carter plays this game where he has a chance, then Washington, then Minnesota, who doesn't have a quarterback, and the Raiders, who don't have an offensive line. Like, there's a real chance he could quickly rack up 5-6 sacks down the stretch here and still steal this thing. So I'm going to play Abdul Carter and hope we get the December breakout over a quarter of a sack, 2 sacks, and the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and see if we can get Carter to make a few plays here.
Yeah, a prediction would be this. Sean Kerner also loves himself some Abdul Carter, especially using the stats you've used about pressures. And, if you had like a luck sack rankings, he would be up there. So I think he would be looking at Carter as well. So I'd be, wouldn't be surprised if he touched him tomorrow. So I think that price is going to move. I'm going to bet it tonight as well. I like that at 0.025. The other props I was looking into, Younghoe Koo. I like him over 5.5 kick points. I'm always really intrigued by teams with low team totals who, no one thinks they're going to be in the game, and their kicker points is under 6. Basically tells me if I get 2 field goals, if I think a team can score a few touchdowns. I just think there's a lot of opportunity to get over that number. I think our Action Pro projections even have him at like 6.3. So I like that. And then I'll toss one parlay out there. I think the big question in this game is just Jackson Dart and rushing. Off the concussion, off the worry, like they're going to tell him not to run. His instinct with a pass rush coming from Vrabel is going to be to run. So the question is what does he do? I would bank on some running, and I'll bank on that just happening based off instinct. So I had looked at him to score a touchdown and him 25 plus and him to throw a touchdown. So 1 run, 1 pass, 25 rush. It's plus 650, plus 640, something of that nature. And I'm not even asking the Giants, they could lose it from there, but I think you're going to see a bunch of Dart in this game. And listen, if you wanted to add the Giants money line, it's 15-1, but I'm not going to tell you to do it. It's just up to you. That's your call. And I had a question for you. So I think this is a really, really intriguing game when it comes to Triple Crown, because, I think Drake, and for anyone who doesn't know, Triple Crown is just basically lead the game in passing, receiving, and rushing. You can pick all three players, 40-1, 50-1, 80-1, the combination just depends on who you pick. So I think Drake May is obviously a bigger favorite than Jackson Dart from the passing standpoint. But if you think the Giants can stay in the game, like maybe Dart's a little sneaky. And then from rushing and receiving, it is a completely open field in this game. And I think the opportunity might lie in Dart leading and rushing. So that was the angle that I was looking at, just because Travion, Ramondre, Singletary, Tracy, like there's a lot of taking people's jobs in this game. So that's something I looked at. Like Dart to lead in rushing and Wandell receiving, forgetting the passing, is 35-1. And then the other one I looked at, like Dart to lead in rushing and Pop Douglas to lead in receiving, like maybe a long reception or so, is 230-1 at DraftKings. So, like, I just think messing around with that could be a little bit fun in this game, considering that there is no real favorite in both categories.
Yeah, the Patriots are third in explosive play rate on the season, and it's almost entirely passing. Giants are bottom 5 in giving those up, and the Patriots killed single high this year, and the Patriots play a lot of, or the Giants play a lot of single high. So, yeah, I think I don't mind that. It's going to be tough, I think, to thread the needle on Dart leading as passing, but the Patriots getting that long reception, but just one, like you can only allow one of those. Otherwise, Drake is going to hit it. But yeah, I think finding the random dart throw receiver, trying to not use the word dart here too many times is getting confusing. But yeah, the random receiver. And then I think you're probably going to need to hope the Patriots with Ramondre back split the carries and just hope Travion doesn't break one at some point, because he's done that and can always do the any play. And yeah, I think if you can limit the big play, probably you're at a Giant script now at that point. But limit the big plays down the field for the Patriots, limit the runs for the Patriots. You're probably on a Giant script, but that's kind of the way we're leaning. So I think it's interesting to play a couple of those.
Yeah, and I think an option of like May passing, Pop Douglas receiving, and Dart rushing is also relatively correlated in some fashion. So I just think there's an opportunity there. All right. If you want to tail some of these Monday Night Football bets, make sure to look for the QuickSlip link in the podcast and video description, or go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. You can also find those QuickSlip in the live YouTube chat if you're still hanging out with us. All right, Brandon, we've always just teased them long enough. So what are your hot read plays for next week?
We're going under. We're going to go Steelers, Ravens under. You know how I love Steelers, Ravens unders. It's 45.5 at DraftKings. If you follow me on the app, you got this hopefully Sunday morning, 47.5 above that key number. It's already dropping 45 at some books. We're going to grab it before it falls further. Look, I love Steelers, Ravens because I love to bet it. With Tomlin and Harbaugh, you bet the underdog, you bet the under. 9 of the last 11 meetings have been within one score. The last 10 meetings are averaging 33.1 points a game. 9 out of 10 hit this under at 42 or below. 7 of 10 at 34 or below. That is what these teams do. They play low scoring, close games. I don't think they look that far apart, honestly, in how they're playing anyway. Baltimore slightly better offense. Pittsburgh slightly better defense by DVOA on the season. Baltimore's defense trending up. Okay, great. That'll help our under just fine. Baltimore's offense certainly doesn't look right the way they're playing right now. And I know the offense kind of had Pittsburgh's number the last couple of years, but this is not that same team. And Ravens were an over team early. They've 4 of 5 to the under now since that over start. So Tomlin wrote unders, 57%, most profitable coach in our database. And then week 14 forward, I have a whole bunch of under trends that start popping for division games. And this one is a kind of a trends bonanza. Home favorite under 7 in a division late season game, 56% of the under. Total from 43 to 47, 57% of the under. Outdoor game, 60% of the under. Just like trend after trend is hitting here. We might be back for this game on our best bets episode because, man, am I going to be looking at Steelers plus 6.5, especially if that thing touches 7 in this game? I don't know if I'll be able to get away from it, but for tonight, give me the under 45.5. And I think that thing will keep dropping a little bit.
Yeah, that matchup always screams under. I mean, the look ahead was 47 down to 44.5. I'd be kind of shocked if it didn't keep dropping a little bit. Also, Rodgers just looked completely and utterly banged up. So there'll be probably some questions about status going there. But what else you got?
Yeah, just another note. I'm going to actually give you a third under here before I get to my other main pick. Saints Bucks under 43.5. Another one I threw in the app this morning, fading to 42.5 at some books already. Fits a lot of those same late division under trends. Saints 9-3 to the under. You mentioned that when we talked about them a little bit earlier. Best in the NFL for them, and they shut down 2 of this game as well. So 6 of the last 8 Saints Bucks games have been 40 points or less. So under 43.5. My other official pick, I'm going to go Sunday night to the game we keep talking about, Texans Chiefs. One more under. We love our Texans unders, of course. 43.5 at DraftKings. Texans 9-3 to the under, best in the NFL. Chiefs 8-4 to the under, just behind. That's just how these teams play. This is not really as much of a trend thing as a stylistic thing. For Houston, it's defense first, as good as anybody. And they held the Chiefs last year to 27 and 23 points. Like, that's a pretty good outing against the Chiefs. And Houston's defense, I think, is better now, and the Chiefs' offense definitely has been worse. For the Chiefs, it's kind of by design going under. Long, slow, boring drives matriculating down the field, and frankly, a defense that should be good enough to kind of hold the Texans in check as well. So under on Sunday night, primetime unders, non-Thursday edition since 2019, 148, 93, and 4 to the under, 61%, 63% this season. Unders, when the line drops in this range, you just want to keep following the money, basically 55% to the under as well. Like, this is a huge, huge game. I think it's going to feel like that opening playoff Texans game. That's the sort of style I think we're getting here. Just like every first down, every point, every score is going to feel like a battle. This is where we're going to end next week, Sunday night. So let's end the show there too. Under 43.5 Chiefs Texans in a huge game.
And you can call me on this, but that over under, you like 43.5, it's falling. So if you're hearing this now, you definitely should go after it. I see some 42.5. The one thing I do kind of like, looks like first half total is 22.5. I think that's a little bit high. That'll probably come down. So 22.5 first half under, I think, is kind of intriguing as well. But I like it. We will be here at 4 after that game to go over everything, and that'll do it here on the Action Hour podcast for our NFL Week 13 recap episode presented by DraftKings. Give us a like on the YouTube video before you take off. We always appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, check out our new AI quick slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook, add Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bets you're looking for. It'll create a quick slip link for you in a matter of seconds. We'll be back for Action Island before Monday night football game. Giants, Patriots tomorrow night right here on Action Network's YouTube page, as well as more NFL bets from Brandon, the six-pack from Raybon and Stuck, anytime touchdowns, and more on the podcast feed next week. Thank you for listening. Good luck with all your bets, and enjoy the week, everybody.